What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Emilio in Tennessee, partial Emilio in Tennessee. We got Jacob in Wisconsin. We got Tim in Green Bay here to talk some Green Bay Packers this evening. Listen, we got the jersey announcements. We're going to know what week, what game we're wearing which jerseys. We got the whiteout jersey we're bringing back. And, of course, we got the 1923 throwbacks. Really excited about those. We've got Josh Jacobs landing on the top 100 list. We'll hit that briefly. And then we'll dive into – I put an article together on Patreon, 11 Packers to watch in tomorrow's game at Indianapolis. So hopefully everybody's having an awesome day out there. If you guys would do that YouTube stuff for me, hit that like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, thank you for making us a part of your evening. We pretty much go live daily, talking Packers. We do pregame shows, postgame shows, in-depth analysis, film breakdown, the whole 9 yards. So we're not experts here. We're not insiders. We're fans just like you, talking Packers on the daily. If that sounds like something you're interested in, hit subscribe and join the PTA posse here. Fellas, how was everybody's day? I know Emilio seems like he had a pretty good day today, but how's everybody else doing?
Day ended well.
It was great.
Thanks for answering me. All right. Let's waste no time. Let's just get into it. It's the most awkward beginning to the show that we've ever had, I believe, which is probably going to be a pretty good show. As Jacob sounds like he's crying, laughing already.
Emilio was so talkative before we went live. I don't know what happened, Clayton.
It might have been that I told him to shut up. All right. Matt Schneidman tweeted out, Packers announced they'll wear their whiteout uniforms against the Commanders on Thursday Night Football in Week 2.
Let's go.
That, and then they'll wear their 1923 themed alternates against the Panthers in Week 9. I kind of like that too. Go out there and try to boat race the Panthers and break those jerseys in the right way with a nice butt kick. And Emilio, what do you think about this, man? First of all, how do y'all feel about the whiteouts? I'll start with Emilio there. I love it, man. The winter warning unis.
Yeah, those are clean. They're icy. They're clean. I think those are, that's one where you can you white out the whole attire and you feel good, look good, play good kind of thing. I really do like them. And at home too. So I think that'll be the way to go.
Absolutely. What do you guys think, Jacob, Tim? How do y'all feel about these dates that they picked here for the throwback and of course the whiteout uni?
I like the idea of the whiteouts when there's whiteout. You know what I mean? Like they did it a little early, in my opinion. I'd like to see it more like in the winter games. That way you get the real sense of it there. But I am really stoked to see the throwbacks with those crazy helmets. I've seen a lot of people going both ways about them, but I think they're absolutely awesome. What do you think, Tim?
I'm with you on the whiteout theme. They were called the winter warning uniforms for a reason. So you'd like to see them out there in the snow. But honestly, I'm fired up. I'll be at the Week 2 game against the Commanders for Thursday Night Football. That'll be fun. And it's always cool when you get to see the alternates at home. You know, and you talk about the 23 throwbacks against the Panthers Week 9. That's going to be cool to see those at home. But I'm going to be 100% honest. We've got a game in Pittsburgh Week 8 on the road. And it's already been announced that the Steelers are wearing their 1920s throwbacks in that game. I think it would be kind of cool if we saw the Packers wear the 1923 throwbacks on the road against the Steelers in Week 8 as well. That's my take on it. It'd be kind of cool. Throwback on throwback. You got A-Rod against J Money, Packers, Steelers in the Steel City. I think that would be cool to see throwbacks on the field all around. But that's just my opinion, man,
I agree. I think that would have been awesome too, Tim, is to kind of go throwback to throwback. And you remember that one year where they were celebrating the AFL and they actually had the officials dressed in the old AFL colors and all that? Yep. I like that stuff. I'm a sucker for that stuff, man.
I'd like to see it like I said, a home game and an away game, right? You got to get the throwbacks at Lambeau for sure. So I love the look against the Panthers in Week 9, but I think it'd be kind of cool to wear them on the road as well.
Yeah, let me ask you guys this: how do you feel about the 1923 unis? Because like Jacob said, I've heard people, with varying opinions. I think y'all might be surprised by my take on it, but I want to get your all's take. Do you love them? Do you wish they'd done something a little different? How do y'all feel about the 1923 unis?
I feel exactly like Matt Ramage. Matt Ramage eloquently pointed it out when this was announced, that a throwback uniform is supposed to be a homage to an old uniform. It's not supposed to be a new fancy alternate uniform. It's supposed to pay homage to history and be a throwback. So that being said, we've seen the navy blue, we've seen the brown helmets and the brown pants, we've seen the 1920s look a few times before, but I got to be honest, I think this is the best run of these throwbacks for sure. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm loving it. The leatherhead look, and then kind of a little bit of a modern take on a classic with the jerseys. I love it.
Yeah, no, I was going to basically say that same thing, other than I just wish they did something a little different with the pants. But like you said, they're not making a new design. They're basically they're paying homage, like you said, to the old days, that sort of stuff. So, but dude, the airbrushing, I mean, I know a lot of people that are negative about it say that, I can't remember what college did it last year or something like that, but
Illinois.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, you watch that unboxing video, those dudes, and I just can't wait to see Tucker Kraft. Remember when he was flexing, all the tattoos and all that? Oh, yeah. Oof, I'd buy that action figure.
PTA. Mm-hmm. The 23s are clean. Thank you, Tim, because I think that, that airbrush really is money. And to think about it, the players get excited about it too. Like, we're talking about it as this and that, but the players kind of get excited about playing, with some new sort of, new color, new look, all this and that. I also do love, I just wanted to say that those white unis on a Thursday night game is clean. Like, under the lights, the white, I know it's not cold, but the white unis under the lights is going to look so fresh. But those 23 jerseys are going to be cool. I do like Tim's idea, though, if we could run them against Steelers too.
Wouldn't that be dope, right? You know what I mean? Like, I just think it would be cool to go into Pittsburgh and, we just do an old school throwback game, both sides of the ball. I would love it.
And, I was hearing Brian Bulaga talk about it, man. I got a lot of respect for Brian Bulaga. I think he played the game the right way. I think he's not a flashy player / person, right? But he said that he loved the jerseys. He hated the helmets.
Yeah.
And I don't hate the jerseys, but when I look at that uniform, the jersey is the thing I like the least about it personally. And I understand it is a throwback. It is kind of I like the old 8-ball ones. Remember the ones where they had just the circle? I thought that was
the circle
cool.
With the single number.
Yeah.
Probably the most historically accurate, right?
Yeah, they just took a piece of wood back there, Tim, put some tape on it and just hit it with a paintbrush. I mean, called it a day.
And back then we got to remember that era, right? Like, nobody had their own number. Like, you wore whatever the hell they threw at you that day when you got out of the car and walked over to the field, right?
It was flashy that they actually put, people looked at it like, that looks stupid. No, back then it was like, dang, these boys got that little circle on the front and stuff. I mean, it was obviously a very, very poor league at the time. But, it's not that I don't like the jerseys, but when he said that, I'm like, I like the helmets way better than the jerseys. The helmets are what really
the helmets are the star for this run. Look, for all intents and purposes, they took the 50s throwback and changed the green into the navy blue. That's all they did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. So, again, I'm excited to see them, though. I've got to get me one of those helmets. They're on back order right now until, like, December. So there will be one of those. As a matter of fact, we may replace that one right back there with the leather helmet.
And I'll get that one. If you need somewhere to keep it, we'll put it back here. I got you, Clay.
You're running out of room, Tim. You got helmets everywhere, dude.
I'll make room, man. Don't worry. I'll make room.
Or that one over your right shoulder. That's not really a helmet. Go ahead, Amelia.
No, I was going to say, wouldn't you rather, though, have something old school clean rather than, them trying to create something new for the Packers? I just don't know where they would go with it if they were to make a new uni. And I just all yellow with, green accents and white trim, something like that. I feel like it's just not really the style of the Packers.
What I would love to see moving forward is, you guys remember in the 90s, they wore the unis where it was a throwback. I think it was a 1944 throwback where it was white with the yellow shoulder pads, right?
Yeah, okay.
I remember Brett having a long touchdown run in those. Imagine break those back out, stuff like that, but wear the leather helmet. You know what I mean? I think that would be sick. just you could kind of cycle through the old
I like it
in the past. So yeah. Anyway, I didn't expect to talk this long on the uniform, but I'm glad we did. Man, I think it is cool, and I want to embrace it. The people that are like, who cares this uniform? Come on, guys, can we have a little fun here? You know what I mean? And I think the chat's in agreement with us too. But Josh Jacobs, fellas, he is on the top 100 list. He comes in the number 33 spot on the top 100. I want to get your all's take on it. Do we feel like that's too high? Is it too low? Is it just about right? I know you probably, like me, you'd rather see which running backs are ahead of him, and then you can make a decision on whether he should be higher or not. But we'll start with you, Tim. What do you think, man? Is 33 in the right spot, or do you think that's maybe a little low?
I think it's fair because this is the top 100 players, period, right, as voted on by the players. Right. So it doesn't necessarily matter what your position is or, position group or anything. So I would think that it's not even debatable that Josh Jacobs would belong in the first half of that list, right? He'd be a top 50 player if you're talking top 100. Maybe they could have been a little more friendly to him. I could see maybe possibly in that top 25 range, but I feel good about 33. I think that's fair. 33 out of the top 100. I've always said, and I'll say it again, I feel like the top 3 running backs in the National Football League are Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, and Josh Jacobs. And granted, we're going into a new year and, new stars to be born. And, it's the NFL, not for long. You never know. It's a new season. But I certainly feel like Josh Jacobs is a top 3 to 5 running back in the league. So putting him at 33 on the top 100, I think that's pretty accurate, pretty close to it, right?
I'm trying to think, Emilio. We still haven't seen Xavier McKinney, right? Am I thinking right?
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing him, so he's got to be – yeah, so he should be inside the top 30 because I'm pretty sure they went 40 to 30 or 39 to 30, whatever it was. But that just kind of dawned on me. I'm thinking who would be left? I think that's the only one that would be left is Xavier McKinney. But what do you think about – what do you think about Josh Jacobs here at number 33, man?
If you're talking Madden numbers, X would be our best player, right? So you would hope that he's in the top 30 if Josh Jacobs is right there, because I was listening to that Love of the Star pod for the Dallas Cowboys. They had Baldy on, and Baldy mentioned Jacobs twice when they were talking about NFC opponents and, where teams are leaning, following, Philly and everything. That just Jacobs is that kind of guy. They mentioned Aaron Jones. Any good offense has a good running back. He was trying to say, the Cowboys were a good offense when they had a good running back. Emmett, Zeke, all that stuff. So you kind of can follow good offenses with good backs, which is just sort of the opposite of where the league was trying to lean to, being a pass-heavy league. But the running game is just so important. I think 33 is definitely fair for Josh. Obviously, we'd like to have him a little higher, but you're running out of spots there once you get below 30. And I'm glad that we found him early in the season, and whatever happened with Love last year, I'm glad that Jacobs kind of got that burn early, get the engine moving, get him going downhill, because it made a difference at the end of the season.
Yeah, and this makes me feel a lot more comfortable about the Jordan Love injury and the receivers being a little banged up. Tim, you can go right into week 1 and you don't have to lean on the pass. You know what I mean? Let's press into the run a little bit. Let's come out a little more 12 personnel. Let's try to how Detroit played us in the game that you attended in the rain at Lambeau. If you guys go back and watch that game, they were just playing conservative. Like, we're going to let them make the mistakes. We're going to let them beat themselves, and boy, did we. So I kind of like the idea of week 1. If Jordan Love's thumb isn't 100%, I think he'll play. Don't get me wrong, but if for some reason we feel like it's still bothering him a little bit, and let's say that you're missing a receiver or two, whether it's a Dontavion Wicks to add a little more depth, or maybe Lord forbid it's Romeo Doubs with the back. If you're down a couple bodies at wide receiver, I say let's press into the run and let's make them make the first mistake, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Just kind of play the field position game, kind of beat them at their own game type thing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, anytime you got your starter, banged up, whether it's non-throwing hand or not, thumb injury, that's serious. You're going to adjust your game plan. I like running the football out of those pistol looks, out of those shotgun looks, kind of get that defense guessing a little bit. There's always the threat of the pass. And you allow Jordan to work, some of those, quick draws or quick toss type of plays. And I'm with you. Be vanilla if you have to. Be, kind of I don't want to say predictable, but go ahead and pound the rock, and you're going to open up the pass game. As soon as those safeties start cheating and creeping up, we already know what Jay Money can do, and you start opening up the pass game. So I think there's nothing wrong with that approach. I'm with you. I think Jordan's definitely going to play week 1 regardless. We've heard the comments about the reason why they went ahead with the surgery now, because we're week 2 of the preseason. This is not week 1 of the regular season or something. And he would probably grit and bear it and play through 17 games with a broken thumb, no problem. I think it's good that they had the procedure done now. He's got to cast it up. He can, work his rehab and also know what it's like to play football with, a cast or some kind of wrap on that thumb going forward. So, if he's still got something going on there week 1, I would anticipate Jordan would be pretty used to getting reps, with that left hand being wrapped up a little bit. So I'm with you. You're going to adjust that game plan, though, either way, week 1.
Yeah. AFAM in the chat says we need more read option. I was hoping they would run more read option this year with Jordan. Now be smart with it. You know what I mean? Get him on the ground. Don't try to turn it into something where you're Jalen Hurts out there lowering your head in traffic, But again, if that thumb is a little banged up, AFAM, we may have to wait a week or 2. You know what I mean? Get it completely healthy before you really start trying to run the rock a little bit there with the read option stuff. Now, if Malik Willis starts, probably going to see a heavy dose of it. And that's the other thing too, is if you're down a couple players and Jordan's thumb isn't completely ready, I want him out there week 1. It sounds like he's going to be out there week 1. I have heard nothing to think otherwise. However, if he's not 100%, I'm not opposed to marching Malik Willis out there and going, you know what, let's try to run the rock. Let's control the clock. Let's see if we can beat the Lions that way. Again, if we start the season, and I know I'm going to catch hate for this, and that's totally cool. If we start the season 0-2, I'm not hitting the panic button. And I know there's the haters out there hoping it happens, and I'm talking about Packer fans that hope it happens. Believe it or not, there is a small portion of the Packer fan base that they love to see this team struggle. I don't care what anybody says. You could tell by the way they tweet, the way they act. They're looking for a reason to be correct on past assumptions, past predictions that didn't come true because this team somehow, some way won 11 games last year, right? But I look at the season like, okay, let's look at what's best for the long-term success of the team. And if Jordan isn't 100%, I'm not going to sacrifice him hurting that thumb even further and setting him back even further just to potentially win one game because it's the Detroit Lions.
Do that, you're going to get your ass kicked in that.
The ultimate goal isn't to win win week 1. The ultimate goal is to win the whole damn thing, right? And sometimes it's tough on coaches, it's tough on players. They need to take a step back and go, all right, look, what's going to help us in the long run? If that makes sense. So now, if we come out on the flip side here and we start the season 2-0, against Detroit and Washington, albeit you're at home, you're kind of expected to win those games, right? I think they said we're favorites. Vegas has us as favorites to win every game but one this year. And I can't remember which one it was as you flash it up here. That's week 1 though. I was trying to think of which team it was.
Oh, I got you here.
Let me just look here real quick because they said there was one team that we were underdog. I think it might have been Philly. It might have been Philly. Or maybe it was at Detroit. But anyway, I remember somebody saying it the other day. And listen, those odds can change. Obviously, they could change in the blink of an eye. But it just kind of goes to show you that even though there's a good portion of people that are sleeping on the Packers, isn't it funny? We're favorites in all but one game, at least going into the preseason. So,
hey, this guy right here says 4-0 going into the bye. So
love that.
If you go into the bye 4-0 and then you come out the other side and now it's Christian Watson watch season, let's go, dude. You know what I mean? You're in a really, really good spot there. So,
yep.
All right, let's shift gears so people don't say that I use the title as clickbait. I've got that a couple times. We started creating custom thumbnails, but
we're gonna give him some.
That's what they do, Tim. That's what they do. Let's talk about this Packers Colts game tomorrow, and let's approach it. This is the way I think you should properly be looking at a preseason game. I don't want to look at the hairline. I know that. You shouldn't go in going, boy, they better come out with a win here, or boy, they better dominate the Colts. I'm telling you guys, it's about matchups. It's about focusing on the one-on-one matchups. And again, yesterday, the joint practice, we got to turn it loose a little bit, right, Emilio? You got to scheme a little bit. You get to go, okay, here's the things we really want to work on, and nobody's got the all-22 tape on this, so the cat isn't going to get out of the bag other than what the Colts see, right? And there are rules in place that you cannot share that all-22 film from the joint practices. With that being said, what happened yesterday? The defense ratcheted up, and they created havoc, right?
Built to ass.
Exactly right. Now, the offense – the offense struggled, but you were without your top 4 receivers, right? Or 4 of your top 5 receivers, I should say, because Matthew Golden, to me, looks like he's going to be a starter in that 11 personnel. But when you go in, it should be about matchups, individual performances. All right, is this player taking a step forward? So I just put a list together of the 11 players that I'm most excited to watch in Indy. Okay, so before I give my list here, and I want to get your all's take on every single one of them, I want to get your all's player. What's the first player that comes to a mind, Emilio, when you're talking about the Packers Colts tomorrow?
I want to see Baron Sorrell kind of tear it up. I know we got a couple big names, LVN, Golden up. We're going to see them, obviously. I'm looking just a little bit deeper. I kind of want to see those hands, see how fast he is off the edge, sort of stuff.
I like it. What about you, Tim? You got a player that comes to mind for you, man?
First one off the top of my head, Bo Melton.
Ooh,
I want to see him put together another good performance as a corner, convince the rest of the world, everyone who doesn't already know, that he is a corner now. And I want to see him have a good game. We've already seen flashes. I think we need to take him legitimately serious as a cornerback, at least at this point in the preseason. So I'm looking for Bo to put another solid performance together.
Nice. Joseph in the chat has a great question here. He says, should Golden play tomorrow? He said, I'm not sure. I'm not so sure. I'm going to give my answer real quick. I want to get your all's take. I don't think he should. The plan is, even before Jordan got hurt, the plan was don't play your starters in this game. I would keep him out. I really would. I think he's shown enough that you're going, okay, you're not going to get a whole lot of work in that preseason game. It's just not going to happen, right? So I would rather him sit out this game. However, if they decide to play Malik Willis for a full quarter or a full half, and Lord forbid, you get into week 1 and it's actually Malik Willis starting, right, instead of Jordan Love, it would be nice for Matthew Golden to get a little bit of extra chemistry built with Malik Willis. I can see how that's a strength there, right? But what do you think, Tim? Would you play Golden or would you sit him? For me, I think I would sit him tomorrow.
His receiving is tough.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm with you, Clay. I don't think we play him. I think if Matt's saying, hey, the starters aren't playing, then that should be everyone. If you're running with the ones on a regular basis, you should sit week 2. I'd like to see them get a heavy dose when I'm at the game with Jacob against the Seahawks. Hopefully we'll see the ones there to brush it up before week 1 there, last week of the preseason. But I think right now we might feel a little different, like if we didn't see what we've seen from Matthew Golden to this point. Like, we see how polished he is. We see how good he looks. You see the intangibles. He's showed up on film numerous times. You don't feel like, he's developing slowly. So I don't think there's a reason to concentrate on getting him all these extra reps. I think sitting him this weekend is going to be probably a good look, along with the rest of the ones. And this is what this time of year is for, right? We want to see the 2s and the 3s and the 4s and the 5s and 6s. We want to see what they look like. So, we just got Jaden Reed out of the walking boot, for crying out loud, right? So, let's not put another guy in one if we can avoid it. And, Matthew Golden is your, he's your first-round draft pick wide receiver, man. This is a big deal here in Green Bay. I don't think there's anything wrong with maybe handling him with kid gloves here in week 2 of the preseason and just let him sit this one out.
What do you think?
I was kind of on that from the beginning there with the, just being in Indy, different field, different turf, different, all different sort of things on your knees, joints, feet. I think, we probably should just let him sit. I do like that point that you had, Clay. If Malik's out there, we would like to get some game reps in there. But we just saw he was working them on the one-on-ones, and he was doing work in the 11s. And I think the coaches take a lot from those practice reps. rather than some of the game reps, just because you can't control it. I think we're cool with him sitting this game, maybe a quarter next game, and let's get into the season. But DJ and Buck were talking, and they were kind of along the lines of, hey, sit your starters. We really shouldn't be playing them. And then Baldy and some of the guys on Love the Star, it's like, no, this is the NFL. You can't play the game scared. You got to get out there and play. And so it's across the board, you're probably 50-50 split if you ask 10 people.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And looking in the chat here too, it looks like several people had a player that did not make my list here. Coach Lynn says Marshawn Lloyd plays tomorrow with the hands up emoji there.
Thick.
Ed Madden says definitely. Ed Madden's not thick. He said definitely want to see Lloyd tomorrow. So there's another one. And then, of course, Joseph says Lloyd as well. So, again, that's a player that I can understand why you'd be excited about wanting to see him play, right? Because he hasn't played a lot of snaps. I get that. Just based off of what we heard out of camp last year and then in camp this year, I don't really think – I think there's more to lose there than gain tomorrow. Again, with the starters out, you got to think – if the starters are sitting, then you're going to have your backup offensive line in. And here's a guy who's battled injuries, and he's been injured as early or as late as last week, right? He was still banged up. So that makes me a little nervous, but I can also understand everybody's excitement to want to see Lloyd on the field. So I'm kind of torn on that one.
That's a great way of putting it, Clay, because I'm kind of on the fence too, right? Because conventionally you're thinking like we didn't see much of Marshawn last year. And so if there was a guy that you wanted to get reps and get him out there and let's see what he looks like, it would be Marshawn Lloyd. But, you make a great point. If none of the other ones are going to be out there and, you've got this kind of ragtag bunch of guys on your O-line and you're kind of rotating guys in and out, how are you really going to judge your running back play anyway? Are we really going to get a good look at Marshawn Lloyd if there's kind of, musical chairs on that O-line, I guess, so to speak. Yeah. So I'm with you. Emilio brought up a great point. We're playing at Lucas Oil, right? That's indoor. It's that, as David Bakhtiari would say, that crappy turf surface that nobody really likes. The chance that you could hang up an ankle or turf toe or something like that. I say hold Marshawn Lloyd out of this game, or at least put him on a snap count. Maybe let him get a few series and then get him off the field because, since he's been here, let's be honest, it's been a groin, it's been a hip, it's been a hamstring, it's, one nagging injury after the other. The guy had appendicitis, I believe. Didn't he have surgery last year? That's what kind of ended his year. I mean, You're talking about like freak medical things. If there was an argument to keep a guy off the field, despite how bad you want to see him, it would probably be Marshawn Lloyd. I think we'd rather have him, ready to go week one, for the season rather than, getting him out there too much too quick in a road game in the preseason.
Got it. All right. Number one on my list, guys, is Jordan Morgan, left tackle Jordan Morgan. And again, the game kicks off tomorrow, 12 Central, 1 Eastern. We're going to be going live at 11 Central, 1 hour before kickoff for our PTA pregame show. And then immediately following the game, we're going to be doing our PTA postgame show. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and come hang out with us, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a cup of coffee before the game kicks off and just get in here and talk about we'll actually take you up to kickoff and show you shots from around the stadium, what's going on, who's active, who's inactive, that type of stuff. So Jordan Morgan is my number one. Listen, these aren't in order of importance. I just went through starting at quarterback, worked my way through the skill positions, down the offensive line, then over to defense. They're numbered, but they're not numbered in any particular order. Okay, so Jordan Morgan, the Packers' first-round pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, enters his second season looking to solidify his role on the offensive line. After a promising rookie year where he transitioned from tackle to guard at times, Morgan is back at left tackle in preseason reps. Aiming to protect quarterback, Jordan loves blind side. Watch for his pass-blocking technique against the Colts edge rushers. His athleticism and footwork could be key in establishing him as a long-term starter. Now, I think we would all agree Rasheed Walker's in the driver's seat there. The starters aren't playing, so I'm really excited about keying in on Jordan Morgan. Emilio, he put a hell of a game together last week, man. He looks solid. Matter of fact, I think we've got the PFF grade last week against the Jets, 76.5 with an 88.0 pass blocking grade. Run blocking, 66.9. Significantly, now this is just one game, but that's where Rasheed Walker struggled, and that's a pretty solid run blocking grade, especially for the Packers, who usually don't score other than Zach Tom don't score very high in run blocking according to PFF. So I'm really excited to see Jordan Morgan, see what it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is that Baldy was talking about was you have a good running back because you have somebody, in front of them. You got Landon Dickerson in front of Saquon. There's just a bunch of good offensive linemen that are going to be in front of good backs. If we can have a running game that we can get behind and actually count on, I think we're in business. And I would, like you said, love to see Jordan Morgan out there crushing it, keep that run blocking up. And just do your thing in pass blocking sets. Keep your base. You only watch those couple clips. I really do think he's starting to get the hang of it. I'm glad he's gotten a year in and sort of been in through some game reps now that he understands, all right, how do I prepare for a week? How do I get myself ready for the game on Sunday? All those things. He's ready this year for sure.
Yeah. Joseph in the chat says, I'm not sure about that Sheed take, Clayton. Six poopy, I think is what that is. He's a natural tackle, maybe. Coach Lynn says Jordan Morgan balled out last week. Walker better be careful, and that's what Joseph was agreeing on. Tim, man, he looked so comfortable at left tackle last week. Now, again, and I know they played their starters. They did play their starters. We did get that confirmed. The Jets played pretty much all their starters last week that were healthy enough to play. If he goes out and does it again this week, I'm going to start to turn the corner and go, I'll be darned. Jordan Morgan's in the driver's seat for left tackle because he just looked that comfortable last week, man. What do you think?
I agree with that. My question to you is, if that does prove to be true, what does that mean for Sheed? Because, if Jordan Morgan proves to be, the solution there, I would think the logic would be to get him on that field immediately and, get him into that starting role. The sooner the better. What does that mean for a restructure, for Sheed, or a new contract for Sheed long term? Do we trade Rasheed Walker immediately? Is it an outright release? What does that mean for Rasheed Walker? Because, I'm okay with the fact that he's the starting left tackle again this year, and we go bring Lombardi home, and then, he moves on after this season to, wherever he moves on to, and that's fine. But if JM is the dude, I think we need to get him out there sooner than later. My question is, what does that mean for Rasheed?
I think what it means for Rasheed, for me, Tim, we might have the best backup left tackle in the entire National Football League.
Sure.
And
for this season, right? For at least this year, right?
Right. Which I think that's kind of the plan anyway, right? He wasn't going to be back anyway. So what it comes down to is I want the better. I want to make this very clear. Whichever of those two left tackles are the better player, that's who I want starting. Period. Case closed. If it's Sheed, awesome. If it's Jordan Morgan, awesome. But whichever one it is, if the race is that tight based off of what Sheed did last year and what he's done the last 3 years, really, man, we're sitting pretty at left tackle, even at the backup spot. And the way Anthony Belton flashed last week, which we'll get to him in a minute, spoiler alert, he makes the list. If he's your backup right tackle, all of a sudden, Emilio, you're in a really good spot at tackle, man. My gosh. That's what we talked about coming out of the Philly playoff loss, right?
No, absolutely. Is that we just didn't have the depth in the offensive line room to go to when you needed it, when you had an issue. I really think, Cody Newman here was saying, don't the Cowboys need a left tackle? Sheed, Eningbari, and a first for Parsons. Possibility, probably be 2 first, but then also Joseph.
You're gonna get your ass kicked in that.
That's fair too, Tim. Joseph here was saying maybe Sheed is our right tackle of the future. Tom as center, Belton at right guard. That's also another possibility. It's just it would be a good thing to have too many tackles, because that's all they're looking for is how can we get a tackle's footwork in at guard? How can we get a tackle's footwork in at center? And how can we have a tackle with good footwork on the outside? A good problem to have is having too many tackles.
I agree.
I think that we're in good shape right now. I think you keep Rasheed, let this ride out. If you get a third for a comp pick, whatever, next year, 4th, perfect. And then we'll find another tackle and do the same thing.
Kind of like Joseph saying, like maybe she could be the right tackle, Tom moving to center, right? We already know Goody stood on business with Big E, right? We basically told Elton, play out your contract, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't rework that deal. So is Elton the center of the future for this team? Being north of 30 years old next year? Probably not. Right. We gave Zach Tom the bag. We've already had the conversation that Zach Tom can play anywhere on that line. Maybe there's some legitimacy to what Joseph's saying here.
Right.
You know, maybe it's Anthony Belton at right tackle.
Right, and the fact that Jordan Morgan had played right guard before, what if it is Rashid staying at left tackle and Jordan Morgan goes to right tackle, and we have two new on the right side? You know, Belton. You'd have Tom Belton, Morgan. There's so many options, and I think the footwork of Morgan allows us to flip him back and forth on either side of the line, which is going to be key moving forward no matter what. But I think it does kind of open up the game plan for how you try to build the roster out, you know, into next year and the year after.
I would agree, especially considering the fact that at least at this point, right, Rasheed Walker is basically a tackle. You're probably not going to kick him to guard anytime soon. So it's either left tackle or bust for Sheed, right?
From what we've seen.
Yeah. At least in Green Bay it is, right? Who knows, you know, what the future holds, but I think he's either a left tackle or not on this football team. You know,
for me, I'm looking at it like, all right, the most valuable positions on the offensive line are the tackle positions in center, right? I would much rather see Anthony Belton settle in at right tackle than Rasheed. To the best of my knowledge, I don't remember ever seeing Rasheed Walker play right tackle, right? And you guys know the old Josh Sitton, you know, saying that if you want to know how hard it is to switch sides, go wipe your rear end with the opposite hand. That's how difficult it is to just kind of switch. And that's what's crazy about Zach Thomas. He is so good he can play anywhere on the line. It's just really interesting. But just the thought of getting two young tackles out there in their spots early, like an Anthony Belton and a Jordan Morgan, you know, them anchoring the tackle positions. And then if you do move Tom to center, once Elton moves on, you could free up a boatload of cap space there. I mean, that's just to get those young tackles together. I mean, that's peanut butter with jelly. You know what I mean? That's ham with the burger, baby. That's meth with theft. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got those things. If you can put those things in place, those two positions in place right off the bat, boy, you're set. On rookie contracts, when other teams are just shelling out all this money, you go, well, you just paid Zach Tom a bunch of money. Not everybody. A lot of people say that, but when you truly look at the contract, guys, he's not really paid like a top 3 tackle. Really isn't. Talking about, I mean, look at, again, Rashawn Slater, who's now on the IR. Look at that contract and then go look at Zach Tom's contract and try to convince me that they're the same. They are not the same contract. They're really pretty far apart.
We got a sweetheart deal with the Zach Tom contract for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So we better move along.
Pay that man his money.
Clayton said, we're about at the end of the first show over here. And
I know it, man. My plan, here's what's hilarious. I told Mandy downstairs, I'm just going to go 40 tonight.
I knew
it. It through one player. Jesus.
Okay, Mandy, please don't be mad.
It is what it is, man. Get the couch ready. Lincoln's down there like, I'll be down here with you, big dog. Yep. We're good. Number 2, right tackle Anthony Belton. We kind of talked about. We should be able to go through this pretty quick. Rookie right tackle Anthony Belton selected in the second round with pick 54 of the 2025 NFL Draft. From North Carolina State, brings massive size, 6'6", 335, and raw power to the line. As a newcomer competing for snaps in a crowded offensive line room, Belton has shown flashes in training camp with his run blocking prowess. In Indianapolis, focus on how he handles speed rushers. A strong performance could accelerate his path to the starting lineup. So again, we're noticing early on, whether it's through camp and just one preseason game, all right, here's the guy's strengths. We talked about Jordan Morgan. That's what I mean by preseason. Don't focus on the score. Focus on what these players are doing individually. Jordan Morgan, you're seeing footwork, natural footwork. And listen, former offensive linemen talk about all the time. That's the most important thing when it comes to playing offensive line. Everybody gets focused on the bench press reps and the arm length and all this stuff. If you don't have the footwork, that other stuff does not matter. It does not matter. So Jordan Morgan's footwork, and then what do we notice with Anthony Belton? He's a mauler. That dude will put somebody on their keister. It's Pancake City with that cat, albeit just one game. But that's what I'm going to be looking for is, okay, we know he can run block. Let's see how he handles speed rushers out of the right tackle position. That's what I want to see because, Emilio, when he gets smacked in the chest, you've seen him absorb it last week. He might get knocked back a touch, but he gathers back up, and it's just hard to move that mountain of a man. I want to see him be able to get out there like Zach Tom does, rebound if somebody beats him with speed to the edge, and really take care of business. Wash that player out of the play, let the quarterback step up and to the right in the pocket.
And right now, that's probably all we're kind of worried about would be the speed to the outside, getting him caught up in, trying to chase a guy extended out sort of thing. Besides that, dude, I think Ryan was talking about in his pod, people are scared to be trying to tackle the dude running behind him, right? He is a man mover. I'm excited to see if we can get him at right guard with tackle footwork ready to go.
True.
Sign me up because we're running behind Anthony Belton and Zach Tom on the right side of the line, and then you would have Rashid Jordan Morgan over there. Then you got Banks, you got Ellen. I'm totally fine with that. The dude's going to be, if his footwork keeps up, I think he's really going to be a good player for us.
Thick.
I don't even know what Joseph was talking about here with Mrs. Buttersworth, but I cannot see Mrs. Buttersworth without thinking of Will Ferrell saying, and what was it, Anchorman? Is that what it was? Pleasure myself to Mrs. Buttersworth.
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
That movie is so damn good, dude. Oh my gosh. All right, let's move. Anything you want to add to Anthony Belton, Tim? I know we kind of covered it pretty extensively there. And his PFF grade last year, remember that, what we always talking about? You grade out in the 60s. 65 is kind of that, all right, we got something. Just one preseason game, but 42 snaps, man, grading out a 65.9.
Yeah, you know how we feel about that number in Titletown, right? And another guy that we're looking for to put it together for another week, right?
65%.
65%. That's what
There you go. But that's a true, like, if you're going to look at PFF grades with rookies, right? I mean, you want to be in that. That's a good barometer. That anything north of 60 really is pretty good, pretty promising. But you're looking for him to do it consistently, right? Anyone can flash 1 week, one game, one play, one rep. Can you do it week after week after week? I think we might see it with Big Escalade here. A lot to be excited about with Anthony Belton.
There you go. All right. We're going to move into Savion Williams next, but before we do, that's going to do it for hour one. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side for hour two, where you can hear my marriage go deep into decline here. But we'll see y'all. I appreciate you.
For those of you listening on the pod,
welcome into hour two. All right. Number 3 on the list is Savion Williams. All right, third-round pick, Savion Williams, pick 87 for TCU in the 2025 NFL Draft. Adds explosive depth to the Packers receiving core, known for his versatility and yards after catch ability in college. Williams has been very limited in camp due to recovering from shoulder surgery. If he plays, this game is a chance for him to showcase his big play potential. Look for him on short routes and screens to begin creating momentum going into the regular season. Has anybody heard whether or not we think he may be able to play tomorrow? Because he's another one that did not participate in joint practice, right? It's probably going to be a long shot for him. Would you guys agree with that? Has anybody in the chat heard anything about Savion potentially playing tomorrow? I imagine it's probably going to be another week, though.
I would think so. I haven't heard anything. And another one, you might want to err on the side of caution, right? We know Savion's another high ceiling kind of guy or no ceiling kind of guy, versatile receiver. Was kind of banged up with that shoulder. Even when we drafted him, we knew that. Picked up a couple other little injuries here throughout OTAs and camps. So as bad as you want to see that guy on the field, arguably starting and, playing 30 to 40 snaps, I think there's, good justification to maybe hold him out another week so you don't set him back any further.
Yeah, and Holmes MD1 here says Savion is out. I'm assuming he's seen it somewhere that he's definitely out, and it would be a stretch, right, Emilio, that he didn't practice in joint practice and all of a sudden go out there and play. I would imagine. So.
I thought you were going to say.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
I'm going to say because our resident doctor said that he's out. But no, I think that's the case. I feel a little bit better about Savion than I did about Lloyd, though. Like last year when Lloyd was kind of coming in injured and everything, I feel like Savion's going to kind of right this ship and get him back on track. Honestly, at this point, with all the other wide receivers out, we could potentially need him, to sort of step up and play a little bit of a role beginning of the season. But, yeah, keep him out, keep him off the turf. If he bounces weird, if he lands spikes off the turf weird, let's just wait till we get back on Lambeau Field and then start our season.
Yeah. I agree, and it seems like the chat agrees with that too. I think it's Ron in here Ron Samuel says that shoulder better heal or he's going to lose a year. That's the last thing we want, right? Is it to be a complete redshirt year? So, yeah,
You do that, you're going to get your ass kicked in that.
I imagine he'll probably be out, but again, I had to put him on the list because I was holding out hopes that maybe we would see him tomorrow and kind of get our first glance at him. Number 4 on the list, wide receiver Mecole Hardman. Veteran wide receiver McCole Hardman signed as a free agent in March 2025, is fighting for a roster spot after a challenging start to preseason. The former Kansas City Chief, known for his Super Bowl heroics and return specialist skills, had a rough outing in week 1 with drops and muff punts. Watch how he bounces back in Indianapolis. His speed could be a weapon on gadget plays or special teams, but consistency will be crucial to secure his place in Green Bay. We were just talking, Tim, about Savion. Kind of feels like there's a decent chance Savion starts on the pup or something, right? If that's the case, McCole Hardman probably going to get that roster spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and a better opportunity for Malik Heath to maybe sneak on for this team as well. I think that's true. But, I like that you put McCole here, number 4, because he's certainly in the top 5 of guys that I want to see this week. You talk about a bounce-back game. This guy's due. We know what he's capable of. We know what we saw last week that, just didn't look like McCole Hardman out there on the field. I think if you look at some of the tape from, joint practice yesterday, he certainly looked a hell of a lot better, at least from the few reps that I saw out there on the practice field. So, the ones aren't going to be running. Hopefully we get a good, dose of McCole Hardman in this game tomorrow. And I hope he doesn't have any drops. And I hope if he's inside that 10-yard line, he just lets that ball drop instead of catching it.
Caught a touchdown yesterday in joint practice, Emilio. So maybe he's looking to rebound here, obviously.
Yep. Yeah, you got to go out there. You only got 2 more games and a couple practices left to show your spot on this team. You got to make the most of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, moving along. Number 5. Well, actually, let's just hit the grade last week for McCole Hardman was a 43.0. So, yeah, I agree with Joseph here. McCole literally just needs to do nothing to beat last week. There you go. And then, of course, his career PFF grade starting in 2019, 70. Yeah, that's right. 70, 61, 81, 52, 51. And then, of course, just got the 43 in this very, very, very young year here. So I wonder if that's preseason season grades. It might be.
I was going to say he's only had
snaps are very small. That's his preseason grades in the past. So so the last 2 years he hasn't got out of the 50s in preseason grades. So maybe it's something that preseason struggled a little bit. Could be. Nonetheless, though, just keep an eye out for him. This is the guy. I'm telling you, Tim, I need to here's a guy sound drop just whenever it's convenient for you, sir. No rush at all. You just make that. Baron Sorrell last week.
Here's the guy.
We remember in the draft process, Emilio, 2 things stood out, right?
He was the best guy around.
Yes,
3 things, including that, right? The scouting report from Greg Cosell, and I want to say it was, his name's escaping me now. We use his scouting report a lot. Anyway, scouting guru. They all said he uses his hands really well. Right. And the other thing that stood out to me was obviously the comment that Goody made about when they interviewed Texas players, you could take one teammate with you. Who would it be? They all said Baron Sorrell, right? Man, last week, and it was just one preseason game. I'm going to continue to say that, and I know it's going to make people mad, but that's how I roll. Bro, he looked like he belonged in the NFL.
Here's the guy.
It was absolutely awesome. So 4th-round rookie edge rusher Baron Sorrell, drafted from Texas 2025, poised to make an impact in the pass rush rotation. With his quick first step and relentless motor, Sorrell racked up pressures in college and has translated that to camp. Against the Colts offensive line, keep an eye on his bend around the edge and trademark hand skills. Disruptive plays here could earn him more snaps alongside veterans like Rashawn Gary, obviously LVN, those cats. Again, the thing I want to see is bend. I want to see a little more bend, Emilio. You know what I mean? I want to see that speed aspect. We've seen him. He's stout, and he knows how to use he knows how to get into the tackle's chest, and very, very just savvy at just using his hands to swipe and get around. I want to see a little bend around the edge. I want to see a little versatility. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does. I just don't know if it's going to be him that's going to show us that. I think that's right up Colin Oliver's, speed, right up his alley. I really do think – I think he could do it, obviously, but I just love watching his handwork. His hand usage, his handwork it really is impressive for a
How about these hands?
We scares the hell
out. They're so quick. They're so quick. One decision, and they're strong. They're powerful. They can get the other guy's hands off you, get him out of position. That would be cool though, like you said, to get a little bit more bend out of him. I'm just not sure if that's his go-to style, and I'm fine with it. If it doesn't end up being that way, perfect. Use your hands, stay vertical, see what's going on in the play. Don't get yourself out of the play, because that's the other thing. You run that arc, you could run yourself right out of the play, open an alley. So if he's a heady kind of smart rusher, I'm cool with that too.
Yeah, I think the happy medium is just marry some of that with the skills he already has. Right, you'd like to see some of that footwork, a little bit of bend. Add that to his game is going to make him that much more well-rounded. But at the end of the day, it's like, Clayton, you're a baseball guy. You got a hitter with an unorthodox batting stance. Sometimes the worst thing you can do is mess with his approach. Just let him do what works for him. And, if Barron Sorrell has good hand technique and good power, I don't think we need to overly stress too much of the bend or too much of the other attributes, if it's going to take away from what he does so well.
Yeah. And again, it was only one game, but his overall defensive grade was a 68.4. His pass rush grade, 87.9. That's wild, right? Tackle grade, 71.4. He finishes really, really well. Where he struggled was his run defense. They had him a 40 there. So now at Texas, it felt like it was somewhat the opposite there. I know Texas A&M, they really keyed in on stopping the run. I don't know enough about Texas as a group collectively, if they keyed in on the run or really let those guys pass rush. But nonetheless, want to see that run defense grade, climb a little bit. And I completely agree with you guys, what you're saying. I think y'all made a great rebuttal there. And like, hey, look, if that's not who he is to be a bendy guy, don't try to force him to be. Let him play to his strengths.
Yeah.
And love the analogy you used, Tim, about baseball, because there's so many coaches that screw that up. And there's a reason you turn on Major League Baseball and not two batters have the same batting stance, right?
That's right.
So
True. Same thing with a golf swing, right? All the golfers out there, you spend all that time at the range and you got an instructor and you're paying $200 an hour for tips. And sometimes the best tip is do it how it feels natural. Whatever your approach is, let's not try and reinvent the wheel and just do what you do best.
Tim, I can't clean up my slice. I just turn myself like 20 degrees left and just
you just play the slice, right?
Yeah, I just turn right into it.
How I cleaned up my slice? I was like, this golf thing ain't for me, man.
Yeah, you closed the pizza box and said, Mandy, get me another one.
Put the golf club down and picked up a daddy soda. Said, the hell with this.
I'm going to try the stuffed crust this time.
Yeah, let me get that slice, Mandy, please.
It's a great point, though, man. And again, that's what I mean by that Ben comment is it's the only thing I see lacking, and it's early. But it's like, man, if he shows he could speed rush on the outside and get a little more bend, the way he uses his hands, the power he's got, man, it's the sky's the limit for Barron Sorrell. It's a 4th-round pick, guys, and I know people go, how often do those hit? When your name's Brian Gutekunst, they hit pretty damn often. We've seen it over and over and over again. So look for him. Number 6, I know y'all going to get excited about this. Defensive tackle Nazir Stackhouse. Undrafted free agent Nazir Stackhouse signed out. The 2025 NFL Draft has emerged as a surprise in the defensive trenches. 6'3", 320-pound run stuffer went unselected, but quickly impressed Packers scouts with his anchor strength and gap control. That sounds like a move that Jacob uses at the office. As a roster bubble player, watch his ability to clog lanes.
That's my job.
His ability to clog lanes against Indianapolis interior runs. A dominant showing could make him the team's not draft pick equivalent. So Nas last week, according to PFF, did not have a good game. 48.7 run defense grade of 51.1, pass rush grade of 54. I seen a few plays where he flashed. And one in particular where it was a 4th down run, 4th and short, and he splits a double team, reroutes the running back, and I think it might have been J.J. Enagbare that actually got the tackle that stopped the play. But boy, oh boy, Nas is the one that broke that up. I don't expect Nazir Stackhouse to be a great pass rusher. What I want to see him do is get in there and be able to anchor. When you do go to a jam front, when you go to a 5-man front, if you want like a modified 5-2 look against a run-heavy 12 personnel or something like that, show me that you can continue to do what you've already shown, right? You don't have to, you ain't got to reinvent the wheel here. Now, it's just interesting. Tim, he feels like from what we've seen, he's a slam dunk to make the 53, but this guy's undrafted. Like he he literally just leapfrogged Warren Brinson on the depth chart. It seemed like 10 minutes into training camp, you know?
Yeah. It's hard to look at Stack and not see TJ Slayton's direct replacement, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about a 0 or a 3 tech guy, like you said, somebody that's going to help you in the run. Probably isn't going to jump off the charts as a pass rusher, but you're not necessarily asking him to do that. You're asking him to be big and strong and, plug those gaps in the run fit. And, he's a raw talent, like you said, UDFA, but he's a Georgia boy, right? We love our Bulldogs up here in Green Bay, and especially defensive side of the ball. And there's a lot of reasons to be excited about Stack. It's going to be fun. This is another guy we got to watch tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon in this preseason game for sure. I think it's fair to say, like, as of right now, it feels like, man, this guy's making the 53 for sure. But you'd like to see him put another good performance together here. He's looked good in camp. PFF didn't like him last week. I would have been a little bit nicer than PFF was with his grades. All the more reason for him to have a great performance tomorrow and really prove why he's here. I think this could be, one of our better UDFA pickups in the last couple of years when it's all said and done.
All right, because he absolutely needs to show up if he wants to make the roster. If he doesn't, it's not like he has a draft pick to fall back on that. Oh, hopefully they keep me because I'm a 7th rounder. No, man, you're going out to make a living, to get that paycheck. That's why you're out there right now. And he's been showing up so far. Let's keep it up. Obviously, the grades don't reflect that, but I do think he was in on a couple of those I didn't give him credit for.
Yeah, we got breaking news here, guys. Tim, breaking news. Ron Sample says Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams share a straw drinking beers.
Get ready to go.
Heard it from the fan. All right, moving along. Number 7, Tyron Hopper. Boys,
here's a guy.
This dude right here, man, I want him to break into that base 4.3 so bad. So bad. It's a 3rd-round pick. Entering his 2nd year after being drafted in the 3rd round of 2024 from Missouri, linebacker Tyron Hopper is looking to build on a rookie campaign that consisted of limited snaps. His sideline-to-sideline speed and tackling in space make him a versatile piece in Jeff Hafley's defense. In this preseason tilt, observe his coverage skills against tight ends and running backs, as he is already known as a thumper. Improved instincts could lock him in as a starter in Hafley's 4.3 base. Now, you guys know last week was 88.6 PFF grade off 35 snaps. Run defense grade 79.6, tackle grade 81.7, pass rush only 60, coverage grade 75.8. That is not normal. Now, we'll see what he does tomorrow. But I don't know about you guys. I want to see Tyron Hopper get 40+ snaps tomorrow. I don't want him to come off the field, Emilio. I want that dude to stay on the field and show us what he can do and see if he solidifies what he did last week. We got to seriously start thinking about it. I know he's more of a mock type backer, but how can we fit him into that 4.3? Because Isaiah Simmons struggled last week. He recovered really well, rebounded really well yesterday at joint practices, right? Tyron Hopper had a sack in that joint practice, by the way, we have to mention. Isaiah McDuffie's in the lead right now as that 3rd linebacker. But, man, Goody's sitting back there going, a half. I know McDuffie was your boy at BC, but Emilio, this is a 3rd-round pick we spent on this kid, and he's flashing right now.
Yeah, I mean, you at some point you got to get him out there on the field and let him rep, let him play. It was Baldy or GM Shuffle. They were talking. I mean, if the dude picked in the 1st round was so good, why is he not on that original team that picked him, right? And that's kind of where I was with sort of Isaiah Simmons. It's like if he's been around to a couple different teams, picked in the 1st round, 8th overall, top 10. Why hasn't that worked out? And maybe you already have what you need on the team and you're looking at him right now in Tyron Hopper. I think that's an absolute possibility. But he can't do it from the sideline. So I do really want to see him get out there. And if they're only going to bring him out because he's going to be the dot carrier or whatever, let's get a 2nd helmet and let this kid play a little, outside backer and let him get on the field with the other 2.
Yeah, Tim, I've been excited about what Isaiah Simmons has done in camp up to this point. I've also been excited about, hey, we got McDuffie back for pennies on the dollars, 2-year extension. But both of those guys, if Tyron Hopper's a stud, both of those guys are the definition of a progress stopper, right? Oh,
I would agree, especially say McDuffie, right? Because you know what you're getting with him. and I would basically figure Zay McDuffie's a lock, right? Roster lock, like you said, what we got him for, what he brings to the table. You know, with Tyron Hopper, I agree with the statement. Like, let's Max Crosby this guy. You know, let's put him out there 100% of the time that he's available, and really see what we got. Because you know, last year we didn't get to see much of him. You know, it's part of his progress to develop, and you don't develop if you're standing on the sidelines, you know, holding onto your shoulder pads, watching the games. So I'm with you, Clay. I say get him out there early, get him out there often. Put the green dot on him if you can. You know, definitely have him out there as your mic, and you know, I mean, he's got the second best, you know, hair on the football team next to Xavier McKinney. So, I mean, you know, like the swag is strong with Tyron Hopper. So I'd like to see him out there, man. Let's go.
Progress Hopper. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. And I agree with what Coach Lynn is saying. Hopper is a mock. Like he screams mock. But Coach, don't you think that preseason, this is the time to see if he can play a little Sam. This is the time to see if he can play a little Will, right? We know what he can do at mock. We know that's his natural fit. And here's the other thing.
Lock him up. Let him play a little edge too. Why not?
And if you go to our base 4-3 last year, there were significant snaps, maybe not the majority, but there were significant snaps where McDuffie was playing mock and they had Cooper in the Sam. They had Quay in the Will. It's very, very interchangeable in that regard too, right? So I think you could still work him into that base 4-3. Now, what you're noticing is what we're talking about in terms of deployment is Isaiah Simmons. They're really, really trying to force him into that Sam role and see if he can play that Sam role in the 4-3, right? Yeah. And whether or not that works out, who knows? But I do feel comfortable saying Quay or both Quay or our boy Edgerrin Cooper could play Sam. They both could. Let's see if Hopper can play a little bit of that role too, because the other reality is once you establish this guy's just a mock, he's always going to be in the middle of that 4-3. Now you become predictable to other coaches, right? And you can kind of key in, okay, we know he's not going to do this. And what did we hear yesterday? Tyron Hopper got a sack. That tells me they were firing him on a linebacker blitz, right? Well, your mock typically isn't – you don't think of a mock being that fire guy in the middle. You think of him being someone who can, A, cover the tight end down the seam, play that deep third in the Tampa 2, right, deep third center, but also you're looking for a gap destroyer, right? So – going to be interesting, man, for sure. Yeah. All right, we got to address this real quick. Holmes coming here hot with the all caps. Quay is our mic. What are you guys talking about?
Nobody's listening anyway.
What are you guys talking about? They move all of them around all over the place. It's not the 90s. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was responding to Coach saying Quay is a Sam.
Gotcha.
They all need to be everything.
Exactly.
You got to be able to play at least two of those spots, right? You got to be able to play, you know, stronger weak side and in the middle,
right?
At the very least.
And if you've got a guy that's heady enough to handle Mike, but also be able to play Sam and come on, like if he is our backup Mike and is still an athletic freak and can play linebacker, perfect. Put him in and just take the green dot off the back. It's not like, you know, we need him in there specifically at Mike. If he's the better athlete, then put him in.
Yeah. See, that's the thing with Simmons. You know, I like Simmons to an extent, but I mean, if you told me Tyron Hopper or Isaiah Simmons as a backup Mike, you know, or a third string Mike, I'm going to go with Tyron Hopper. I don't care. I'm going to go with the youth. I'm going to go with the higher ceiling for sure.
Definitely. All right. And I know some people hear mock and they think it just means green dot, right? And
no, it doesn't.
It's simply not the case. Yeah. And I'm not saying Holmes or anybody else was saying that in the chat. I'm just, again, you know, like Holmes said, it's not the 90s anymore. But now is the time, though, to try these guys out at different positions and kind of get a little bit on tape there. And again, when I say a little bit, guys, 35 snaps last week, that's not a little bit. That's a whole lot of tape to really dissect and go through. So Number 8, Isaiah Simmons, free agent addition. Isaiah Simmons signed in April, brings athleticism and positional flexibility to the linebacker group. The former top 10 pick has shown flashes during camp, but struggled in last week's debut versus the Jets. Watch for his coverage prowess in Indianapolis. With 4 solo tackles already in the preseason, Simmons could prove invaluable in pass defense. Again, I think they're going to try to see if it is still a superpower for him to be able to cover the tight end, maybe put him at Sam a little bit more. I don't see them trying to move him around much. I think they're trying to go, okay, is this a guy that if we get a little banged up on the defensive side of the ball, specifically at linebacker, can we just count on him to play 4-3 Sam for us? That's what it feels like. They're really just saying, show us you can do that first, right, is what it feels like. And again, last week he did struggle, guys. It was ugly. You might want to turn your head. 29.4. Coverage grade, 27.9, tackle grade 27.8, and that may seem extreme, but man, he made the highlight reel for all the wrong reasons. There was times that there was ball carriers in space and he just completely whiffed, took a horrible angle. Other times he got completely turned around in coverage. It looked ugly. It really did. Hopefully he rebounds this week because he does seem like a great guy, and you could tell Edgerrin Cooper kind of gravitated toward him in camp. You could tell they really liked this guy in the locker room. But again,
I saw that with Quay as well, like a real good connection with the linebackers in general. Clearly Isaiah Simmons is a great teammate and a great person. The question is, does he fit that mold, X's and O's on the field for us, right?
Yeah, it doesn't win you Lombardis, does it, Tim? Being a good person, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. You got anything to add to Isaiah Simmons here, Emilio? You good, man?
Yeah, no, there's no way we can sneak him out of the practice squad.
I think you could, possibly.
Maybe, right?
I mean, yeah, listen, let's say that PFF is everything, and everybody around the league looks at the tape and go, boy, that was a 29. Yeah, you shouldn't have any problem getting him on the practice squad,
Yeah,
right?
That's fair.
Now, do I think there's another team that might get a little banged up at linebacker and say, hey, former first-round pick? Because, again, when teams go to sign free agents, especially as camp breaks, guys, the first thing they look at on the free agent list, go back to our draft grades. What kind of grade do we have on him, right? So,
and I mean that's fair, but then they have to give up a roster spot to pull him, and if he wasn't, what we needed at the time to bring in, fine, we were just bringing in, just another body sort of thing, and we just had him as a backup. I'm not worried about that. They had to give up a roster spot to take this guy off of our practice squad.
Yeah, and if you could get into the practice squad and then you get a little later in the season, somebody gets banged up, they're deactivated, you activate him off the practice squad, and bang, you got a special teams ace. Throw him out, right? That's huge. So I like that, Emilio. That to me would be best case scenario, to be honest with you, is put him on the practice squad, call him up a few times when you need him on game day, special teams help. So, but we'll see.
You have to, right? Because you think if you put him there, you better call him up a couple times because he's going to be gone pretty quick. I mean, not super fast, but I don't think you'd hang around on a practice squad for too long, right?
No, I think it's number 9 on the list. Second-year cornerback Kalen King, a 2024 7th-round pick from Penn State, battling for depth in the secondary after flashing ball skills in limited rookie action. King has been sticky in coverage during training camp and red zone opportunities last week. You guys know he had 2 end zone breakups. Really, they were in the red zone, obviously, but he broke the pass up in the end zone.
Built ass.
Against the Colts receivers, focus on his technique and consistency within the defensive calls. That's what I'm looking for. I want to know, Tim, that he knows exactly where to be. You know what I mean? That's the main thing, Emilio, I'm focusing on with Kalen King. I think he's got natural talent. You can see it in his ball skills and everything. The way he jumped the route, I think it was on family night. But show me that you know where the hell to be at all times. And it's kind of hard to look at that in preseason because everything is so vanilla,
Yep. No, that's the case. And like we were saying earlier, he's only played 50 snaps in the slot or less than 50 in his college career. So we're asking him to do something a little bit different than he's used to. But at that 5'11", 190, you probably want him in the slot. Ideally, you don't want a 5'11", 5'10" kind of guy out on the boundary on the edge. But if he shows up and can play and can rotate and can go in, so Bull can go up, and play safety, if that's the option, perfect. The dude's had a year. Like, again, he's had an off season. He knows what the Packers need from him, and he's ready to try to make their team this year. I love that.
That's a great point.
Slide him to the practice squad.
That's a great point. 5'11", 190. What's Bullard? Isn't Bullard right around that kind of?
Maybe 6 foot.
Yeah, I was thinking. Let me look it up. Bro. I don't want to tell you the wrong way. I want to say he's right around that, maybe a little bit thicker. That's the one that Jeff Halfley actually said was.
Yeah,
thick.
that's what our infamous drop came from. Yeah, but
I want to say he's over 200 pounds, but I could
okay, so a little bit thicker than Kalen. But to Emilio's point, I mean, at that build, yeah, I mean, if he's better suited in the slot and can consistently prove that he can be a reliable slot, I mean, my goodness, is he going to add value to this football team? Because it does free up Bullard to, back up Evan Williams and our safety room.
Right.
If we need to kick him back there, we have another option. We talk about Nate Hobbs being ready for week 1. We talk about Nate Hobbs playing the slot. We can also talk about Nate Hobbs playing on the boundary too. Maybe Kalen King is going to find a niche on this team as a slot guy.
Right.
Hey, Javon Bullard, real quick, Mia, sorry. AI over on Google says he is officially listed at 5'10", 198.
Wow. So basically the same exact build.
Yeah.
And if you get a guy, Tim, that has the ability to play boundary, but the team willingness to play the slot wherever they need him and not stomp his feet and be mad about it, that's the guy we need, right? That's the guy that's kind of got that right attitude, that right mentality.
That's what you need for a slot corner, right?
Yeah.
You need a guy that's willing to stick that head in there and go ahead and lower that boom and step up and play that role. Sometimes you've got corners that are better suited not to do that, right? They're better off on the boundary and playing coverage. So, you get hybrid guys like a Bullard or a King, and this is where you need to put them. So I really hope Kalen King honestly makes this 53 this year, guys. I really do.
22 and a half years old. 22 and a half years old.
You talk about no ceiling with this guy. And we were fired up when we drafted him, right? 7th round pick, I believe.
Oh, I was. Yeah, I was. Yeah. Because again, man, when let me hit this. United Base says I'm rooting for Kalen King, so AFM's K King back tattoo makes sense again. Anyway, it's a family program.
As the back tattoo said Kelsey on the back.
Oh, there you go. No, but the reason I was so high on Kalen King is the college season wrapped up. I'm going to try to explain this as best I know how, right? Because we were drafting him in 2024, right? Yeah. So when the draft happened in 2022, okay, in 2022, no, 2023, I should say. Yeah. When the draft happened in 2023, what I love to do is like the week or two after, I'd go immediately to the consensus big board and go, okay, what does everybody see for this next wave of prospects? Because this is before everything starts getting shaken up. Kalen King was the top corner listed. And then all of a sudden he falls all the way to the 7th round throughout that course of his last college year. I know we've mentioned it a bunch of times, but I don't think I've explained it in that detail. That's how I remember that unfolding. And it's like, how do you go from being the top corner potentially in the draft to a 7th round pick? I'm not saying he was worthy of being the top corner, but all the way to the 7th probably needed to be somewhere between 3rd and 4th round, somewhere around there. You get him in the 7th, that's great value. So, all right, moving along here. Number 10, Bo Melton. I know y'all going to get excited over this. Wide receiver Bo Melton re-signed in the 2025 offseason, having now made the shift to cornerback, has looked the part so far. His greatest value lies within his special teams contribution. However, he has a great opportunity to prove his worth as a depth piece in Jeff Halfley's secondary. It's another guy, man. I want to see Kalen King and Bo Melton on the field together. I want to see Kalen King kicking into the slot. Let's see if he can prove he can play slot, right? Give me Bo Melton on the boundary. Let's see what this guy can do covering a boundary X. And I want to see Tyron Hopper in the middle of that defense. It's a 3 combination. I want to see that next wave of players like, okay, are they worthy of occupying a 53-man roster spot? More importantly, Kalen King and Bo Melton. Obviously, Tyron Hopper will be on the 53. But with Bo last week, his very, very first time playing cornerback, 29 reps. He played right cornerback. So, again, that's from the defense's perspective. So he played on the side that Carrington Valentine typically plays on, right? PFF grade was a 50.
Cheese curds and my stomach hurt all the time, but I do eat them, though.
A 51.6 defensive grade. Coverage grade was 46.7. Tackle grade 29.5. However, run defense grade 66.2. Like Coach LaFleur said, Tim, Bo's going to give you everything he's got, man. and it showed up on tape. There was a play or two where he did slide down in the run fit, and I was like, Bo is playing. He's doing everything in his power to play his ass off.
I'm telling you, I'm glad you brought that up. Like, are we entirely sure that Bo couldn't slide into that slot role if we needed it? I mean, what's his measurables, right? 5'11", 180 something, 190. I mean,
it's right there in the sweet spot.
He's right in there too. Yeah. We haven't really seen that from him though, right? Like he just made this transition. And I think, at least from my perspective, the way I look at it, like he's proven that he can make that transition. He has transitioned into a cornerback role. We talked about the technical aspect. Coach Lane and I were talking about that the other day. The fact that he's able to know, what a receiver is running before he even runs it, based on the formation, based on how he's lining up, based on how he's releasing, that gives Bo a distinct advantage. And if he marries that with the technical aspects of the game, the footwork and all these things we talk about with cornerback play, I'm not unconvinced that Bo could play slot. He could play on the boundary. Hell, he could be a backup off-ball safety if we really needed him to be. I think when it's all said and done. But again, we're looking at him to make another step tomorrow. Hopefully, we see more of what we saw these past couple of weeks. But anyone who's saying that Bo Melton is a hybrid receiver / corner, I don't know. I think his role on this team is as a cornerback. If he's making the 53, he's making it as a corner. Maybe you get added value because in a pinch you could throw him out there as a receiver. You don't forget how to play receiver. But I'm excited about him as a corner, boundary or slot, honestly.
Absolutely, Tim. Obviously, it's some new stuff that he's been doing, backpedal instead of running forward, but he's not afraid to learn, not afraid to make a mistake and keep going. And you could kind of see it in his interviews. He's starting to like it a lot. He's starting to really feel it. He's starting to, you remember those days. He probably played it both ways in high school, right? So he probably remembers playing corner, backing up like, dude, it's not the same idea. He was talking about, hey, you got to try to go out there and make a catch when you're on offense. Now I'm trying to stop them from catching. I'm trying to punch it out. I'm trying to make a tackle. There's not as many number-wise things that you can do, but you can make things happen for the team a lot more on defense. You can show up for your teammates a lot more.
Yep. Great points. All right, number 11.
Dog.
I need that.
Here's the guy.
Cue up that music, Tim. Safety Ketan Oladapo. And let it run for a minute.
Please do.
Okay. Safety Ketan is that a drill? Safety Ketan Oladapo. Keep it going, Tim. Drafted in the 5th round in 2024 from Oregon State, is in his sophomore season and pushing for more playing time. His physicality and run support, range, and coverage have been highlights of camp. In this matchup, keep tabs, crank it, Tim, on his tackling in the box against the Colts backs. Consistent play could make him a staple in the secondary rotation. Can I be honest with you guys? I haven't been that impressed with Oladapo, but I want to be so bad. What do you guys think about Ketan here? 6'1", 217 is what PFF had him at. Not like horrible last week, 58 PFF grade, but that tackling grade, man, 79.6 is what he does well. There's no doubt about it. He's that guy. He's the quintessential spur safety. Put him down in the box and just let him attack the ball carrier.
I have been very excited about Oladapo. I know you're mad that he got that ball caught on him, that deep ball. I know that's your hang up right now. But Clay, right. The way he's moving the defense around when he's out there, telling people where to go, how to be,
communicate well.
He knows what he's doing. The fact that they're leaning on him aggressively after Zane went down, they're probably he's going to play some reps actually in games this year. I think. I don't think it's going to be come in mop up time. I really do think that he's gotten to the point where he's ready to go. Look at those numbers. I mean, yeah, he didn't have a great game. Defense just under 60 if you're looking at PFF grades, but that tackling is key. The run defense is key. You're right. He wants to come down. He wants to thump. He wants to hit. He had one ball got caught on him. If not, he probably would have had a 65, 70 grade if he had broken that pass up.
Yeah, yep. I could not agree more with Ron Sample here either, man. I'm so disappointed he doesn't have the green and gold hair this year, man. Like, you got to paint that hair this year, Tim. You got it. Not you.
He's probably saving it for week one.
Why don't you tweet at him? Why don't you tweet at him and ask him if he can update the color, Clay?
It made it sound like
just waiting till week one, man.
Tim, I'm not telling you to paint your hair, okay?
No.
All of a sudden you end up working at a Starbucks somewhere. You know what I mean? I know how that works. But anyway.
I barely got enough hair to paint. What are you talking about? But no, I to Emilio's point though, like you said, man, KT is a thumper, right? This guy is not afraid to go in there and lower the boom, right? So when you've got thumpers like that in the safety room, you don't bitch when they're missing coverages, right? You know that what they're bringing to the table is they know the system, they know the scheme, good communicators, and they're out there, headhunting, looking for somebody to hit. You need guys like that in your secondary. I'm okay with the occasional missed, coverage rep if he's wrapping guys up and lowering the boom, and I'm with you, Emilio. I'm ready to see it this year. Hopefully we get a lot more reps from KT Oladapo this season for sure.
Absolutely.
There you go. There is your 11 players that I'm looking to watch tomorrow. Is there anybody that didn't make the list here that we maybe didn't mention throughout the course of the show, guys, that y'all would just like to briefly hit on before we wrap up? Or do you think we've pretty much covered it there? I think Marshawn Lloyd was the one we didn't talk about that most people were wanting to see, right?
Yeah. Yeah, bubble guys, there's not too many more. Maybe Omar Brown, Mike Robinson, a little bit of secondary look. Kind of keep an eye on the receivers. The only other one would maybe be John Fitzpatrick for me. See how the tight ends sort of do. Ben Sims, Swinson, see how those reps kind of work out.
Got it.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Anything else, man?
No, I would just echo Emilio's point about the tight ends. We're kind of looking at that bottom rung of the depth chart here tomorrow. Keep your eye on Swinson. Keep your eye on Sims. We talked about Fitzpatrick kind of maybe being in the lead there over Ben Sims right now. So if he puts another good performance together, he could solidify a spot on this team. Definitely don't sleep on the tight end room for sure.
There you go. And just a quick little update as we get ready to wrap the show up, guys. There is actually a live preseason game going on right now. It's on our local channel down here in Tennessee, but if you're out of market, I think you can get it on NFL Network. The Titans are beating the Falcons 13-10. Again, don't focus on the score. Let's focus on the individuals. How's everybody performing? Cam Ward, your number one overall pick, he started the game for the Titans 2 of 7 for 42 yards. So not that good, bud. Brandon Allen came in 8 of 11 there for 90 yards, threw a touchdown and a pick already. If we switch over to the Falcons side, Easton Stick is the only quarterback that's played so far, 14 of 23 for 92 yards, and he threw a pick as well. So, again, Ryan Schlipp did a great job of covering this the other day on the pod, on his pod on Packernet podcast. If you think that the sky is falling for the Packers, do yourself a favor. Stop for a second, step back, and go through Twitter and look at other teams. Everybody's fan base is freaking out right now. Like your number one overall pick, preseason game, just threw 7 passes and only completed 2 of them. You think there's not Titan fans going, oh crap, is this guy going to be a bust? It's preseason. Calm down.
Yep.
Nobody's scheming anything. Most, people are probably sitting some of their starters just like we are. Just enjoy it, man. Football's back and focus on the individual matchups, man. Again, fan how you want to fan. That's how I fan in the preseason. I'm looking at it like, hey, what does this guy bring to the table? What can he add to the team? What does he do well? What does he need to work on? And where does he fit on the 53? Can we slide him on the practice squad? Those are the fun conversations this time of year. So,
yep.
All right. Anything else, boys? We good?
Good.
We're good.
All right.
Packer football tomorrow, baby.
Yeah, you got it. I'm so excited. So, again, guys, we're going to go live 1 hour before kickoff. Okay, I'll create the stream as soon as we get everything uploaded here in the podcast form. Exactly, Joseph. RELAX. Relax. So, we'll be going live for the pregame show tomorrow. And then, obviously, as soon as the game wraps up, we're going to do a quick post-game show before me and Emilio head down to the Redneck Brawl. You guys, I can't promise there's going to be a Sunday show because we might need to bail us out of jail. We don't know how this is going to go down here. Don't make sure the kids aren't in the room and just go to your IG account and just type in Redneck Brawl and make sure the volume's way down, okay? You're going to see the Fox promo.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable, man. I'm telling you. Somebody's going to get hit in the meth mouth tomorrow. That's going to happen. It will be, Tim, and it could be. It will.
Got hold to the wrong stuff.
So anyway, We'll see you guys tomorrow for the pregame show, 1 hour before kickoff. Thank y'all so much for making us a part of your evening here on Friday. We had a heck of a crowd too, man. The chat was on fire. If y'all would just hit that like button on the way out. We'll see y'all tomorrow. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack, go.
Here we go.
We're out. Bye, guys.